Alright, good evening folks, it's Enforcer Matt, and welcome back to another short war video, and today we have very big news coming out of Russia, and we're learning that right now in the Rostov region of Russia, there's a major oil depot on fire down there which supplies fuel and also oil supplies to the Russian forces. That facility is on fire and it's getting even worse, and it's causing the Russians to declare a state of emergency in Rostov as the fire gets out of control. We're also hearing as well that in the Kursk Oblast, the Ukrainian forces have destroyed the third and final pre-war bridge over the Sime River, which is effectively blocking off the Russian forces, and currently we're told there's only one pontoon bridge left that the Russians can use. And finally, we're hearing word that Russia is thinking about mobilizing even more men by the end of the year to put into the meat grinder inside of Ukraine and also to protect the Kursk region of Russia. But with that, we're jumping into our first article of the day, which goes to OSINT Technical. And real quick, just for context, this oil depot right here was actually on fire about a day or two ago, but this fire has gotten much worse, and it's caused Russia to go into a complete panic. And as we can see right here, this was on the morning of August 17th. Ukrainian drones attacked a Russian oil depot in the Rostov Oblast, setting several storage tanks alight, and the depot continues to burn. And this last part right here, the depot continues to burn, that is an understatement. That depot is burning completely to the ground, and it's a spectacular event. But moving into our next post here, we get an idea of exactly where this oil depot is right here on the map. But real quick, we're told over here in the caption by Live Ukraine map that the General Staff of Armed Forces of Ukraine confirmed overnight attack at the Kavkaz Enterprise in the Proletarsk of Rostov region, and the enterprise supplies Russian military forces with fuel and oil products. So as you can see right here, the attack was allegedly launched from this area of Ukraine right up here toward the top here. It looks like the Luhansk Oblast, sort of in this area right here, sort of near Donetsk, and the drone went all the way down here to Rostov, right where you see the end target right here, hit the oil depot and set it ablaze. And like always, there's no Russian air defense to stop the drone from coming in, so it hit right smack dab on the target, and it was a done deal. That place was on fire immediately. And just in case you're curious about the distance here, it's actually 386 kilometers that drone flew to go down here and hit the oil depot in Rostov Oblast. So that was a very long distance right there for the drone to fly, but actually for Ukrainian standards, that's actually not that far. But jumping in here to our next post, we have one from the Euromaidan Press, and we're learning today the very big deal is there's secondary detonations continuing at the Proletarsk fuel depot in Rostov region after the Ukrainian strikes happened yesterday, and for the second day, firefighters are unable to localize the fire, and we got a video here showing the absolute devastation happening at the refinery / depot. So let's take a look here and see what it is. And right here in the video, you can see it looks like hell is blazing over at this oil depot. It is on fire in a very big way. That is a massive fire right there. And also, let me mute that guy talking real quick. He's just yapping. But you can see right here, this oil depot right here is in blazes, and the Russian firefighters standing literally right there in front of the camera are not putting this out because, like always, they don't have the proper equipment to put this out, and they're trying to douse it with water, which only makes it worse. So the Russian firefighters are out here once again causing a clown show, and they're just... And actually, they're filming the fire. They're not even putting it out, they're just filming it. Right there, the guy has his phone out. He's filming the whole thing. So, just a joke all the way around. And once again, more proof that the Russians don't know what they're doing when it comes to putting out fires. But with that, moving into our next post here, this one goes to Live Ukraine Map. And like I mentioned earlier, Russia has now declared an emergency situation regime in the Proletarsk region of Rostov. And as the oil depot continues to burn for the second day, we're told that at least 18 people were wounded by the secondary explosions. And in that last video, you got to see one of the secondary explosions. But in this video right here, we have even more proof of how large these explosions really are. So let's take a look at this one. Alright, so taking a look here, you can see this is a massive column of fire, and this looks like a different angle from the video that we just saw a moment ago, so you can see just how far into the air this fire really does go. Massive detonations happening here. The detonations are so large that this one actually was not caught on camera until actually a couple of moments after it exploded, but these explosions are so large they're damaging civilians, so not good for the Russians whatsoever, and they can't get it put out. That's really the big deal. They can't put this fire out. But with that, we're jumping into our last post about the oil depot, and this one goes to Bricktop NAFO. It says here, we got new satellite images of the fire at the oil depot in the Rostov region, and more than 10 fuel tanks are already engulfed in flames, and there's 60 left to go. So a complete embarrassment. And let's take a look here at this satellite image, and you can see there is a massive row of these oil containers on fire, and there's still more to go, plenty more to go actually. So I have a feeling that this actually might go up in blazes, the entire oil depot. We might be seeing a catastrophic destruction destruction of the entire facility based on not being able to put out the current fires here on this current row. So this is going to be pretty devastating because this facility supplies a lot of oil and petroleum to the Russian military, and right now they need that because they're struggling to defend Kursk, and right now they're not going to have fuel to fuel up their trucks either. So quite devastating to the Russians. But with that, we're moving into our next post here, which goes to OSINT Technical. And we've got some pretty big developments happening in Kursk right now. Remember, the Ukrainians are on their, I believe it's the 15th day of invading the Kursk region of Russia. It's pretty far deep into the invasion here. And we're learning from Russian channels that Ukrainian forces have destroyed the third and final pre-war bridge over the Sime River in the Kursk Oblast. And Russian forces south of the river now only have one pontoon bridge left to try to get across. So right now, the Russians are pretty much blocked out. We've been waiting for confirmation of this final pre-war bridge to be knocked out, and now we have it from Russian channels. They really have no reason to lie about that bridge being taken out. So now there's one pontoon bridge left that'll probably not have a very long lifespan left on it, and it'll probably get taken out very shortly. But very good news for the Kursk invasion by the Ukrainian forces. And with that, we're moving into our next article here, and this one goes to the Kyiv Post. And we've also got another milestone here, somewhat of a grim one. We're learning today that we crossed the 600,000 mark on Russian casualties, which is quite crazy to hear. 600,000 Russians have been eliminated so far in this entire war over a couple of years now, which greatly surpasses the Ukrainian losses by leaps and bounds. So the Russian meat grinder strategy has cost Russia a lot of men, and now we're seeing proof of that in the 600,000 number right here. So sort of grim, but also tells you that Ukraine is indeed winning the war because Russia has significantly more losses. But with that, we're jumping into our next post here, which goes to the Kyiv Post once again. And also, like I mentioned earlier, Russia is trying to double the number of troops in Ukraine to 800,000 by the end of the year, says the Ukrainian Deputy Defense Minister Havriluk, and he told that to Forbes according to the Kyiv Post. So we're hearing that Russia wants to increase their mobilization numbers, and this just plays more into the idea of the rumors that Russia may be planning a full-scale mobilization of their forces and also civilians before the end of the year is out by 2024. So that is certainly a possibility by the end of the year, and I'm thinking it's more likely than not at this point, considering Russia is having some severe manpower shortages. But with that, we're jumping into our next post, and this one goes to the Euromaidan Press. And we're learning of more fire and explosions inside of mainland Russia, and this time it's at a traction substation of Russia's Trans-Siberian Railway in the Kemerovo Oblast, which is about 3,300 kilometers away from Ukraine. And right now, Russian Telegram channels are reporting that a fire train extinguished a blaze overnight, and it halted train traffic for about 2 hours. And the Transportation Prosecutor's Office cited a technical malfunction as the preliminary cause. So let's take a look at this blaze right here, and let's try to figure out, is the Russians telling the truth or are they lying? What is this? Is it sabotage or an attack? So let's take a look. So taking a look at this video right here, you can see that substation is up in blazes, and there's the Russian fire department once again. They actually were able to put this one out, believe it or not. They called in the fire train to put it out, so they were successful. But massive fire at this railway right here, the substation that is connected to the Trans-Siberian Railway. So it's up to speculation as to whether or not this was an attack, or was it sabotage, or was it simply bad Russian infrastructure which went wrong. It's up to you to figure out what this is, because right now we really don't know, but that is that, and we had to report on it to let you know that, once again, there are some sort of sabotage attempts or something like that happening inside of mainland Russia. But with that, we're jumping into our next post here, which goes to Nexta, and we're learning of Decommunization in Sudzha by the Ukrainian forces. I love to see it. A monument to Lenin has been dismantled by the Ukrainians, according to a new video from the Kursk region. And let's take a look at this video right here. And also, just to preface the video, I'm not sure who's filming this. I think this might be the Russians, but it could be a Ukrainian. I'm not really sure. But he's filming this video here of the dismantled Lenin monument, and he sounds very emotional. He sounds like he's almost crying, so let's take a look. So as you can see, the guy's crying in the video, and there's the Lenin monument, and you can hear him, he's still crying right there. The Lenin monument is no longer. They've ripped that thing down, and the bastard Lenin, he's now had his monument ripped down. So there you go. That thing is gone, and it is no longer kind of like the Russians occupying this territory. They don't even occupy their own territory anymore. They're kind of like Lenin. They're gone. But anyways, moving into our next post here, this one goes to Nexta as well. And we're learning that the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is allegedly going to visit Ukraine, according to the Indian Foreign Ministry, and the details details of the trip will be shared later in the day, said the foreign ministry, and Indian media have reported that Modi is likely to visit Kyiv this month, so before August is out. So kind of surprising here to hear this, because India kind of rides the fence a little bit with Ukraine and Russia, and some people think they lean Ukrainian and some people think they lean Russian. So I'm not really sure exactly what will come out of this, but he is planned to visit Ukraine by the end of the month, which is possibly good news as well if Ukraine can get some aid out of it. But with that, we're moving into our next post here, which also goes to Nexta. And we're getting word from Lukashenka. He has some more words about Putin's use of nuclear weapons. Lukashenka now says that a nuclear strike on Ukraine would leave Putin without allies, and Ukraine, with the help of the operation in Kursk region, is trying to push Putin to use nuclear weapons so that all allies will turn away from him, said Lukashenka. So one thing about this, y'all will recall that yesterday Lukashenka was the one threatening Ukraine with nuclear strikes, and now all of a sudden Lukashenka is saying that if Putin uses nukes, that will leave Russia without allies. So apparently Lukashenka thinks he's an exception to that entire premise right there, because apparently if he launches nukes, he'll be fine, he won't lose any allies, but if Russia launches nukes, they'll lose their allies. So Lukashenka is once again spouting off of the mouth, saying stuff that really doesn't make any sense. So pretty typical for Lukashenko. That's pretty much his long-standing deal. He just comes out and says crazy stuff, and then he goes away. Like I said last night on the stream, I think Lukashenko is basically auditioning to be the anger translator for Putin and replace Medvedev. I think he's trying to replace him, so that may be what he's trying to do here. I don't even know. But anyways, moving on to our last post of the day. This one goes to Null Reports. And real quick, take this with a grain of salt. This is unconfirmed, and we're not reporting it as fact. But right now, according to the Ukrainian Tivaz artillery group, a Russian S-400 air defense complex was hit overnight, but we're currently awaiting visual confirmation. So once again, take it with a grain of salt, but there is a possibility that an S-400 air defense system was hit overnight, but we don't have any visual confirmation of that. Right now, we're relying on a Telegram post, which is not very much to go on, but just to give you a taste of what might be coming out here by the end of the day, an S-400 might have been blown up. So just a piece of what might be coming next. But with that, that is actually our last piece of news for the day. So we actually didn't have a whole bunch of news today. There were a couple of bits of pretty big news, but not a whole bunch. I'm sure there will be more coming out before the end of the day. But of course, we don't have a stream tonight, so be sure to join us again tomorrow night on Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern for the next night of war news on our stream. And also be sure to put a like and also subscribe to the video and the channel as well, because that greatly helps us with the getting the news out, and also it helps us grow the channel. We appreciate that very much when people like and subscribe on the videos and the channel. It means a lot to us. And also, if you want to support our channel financially, you can do so on our Patreon page, and the link is in the description below for Patreon, where you can go over there, sign up for a monthly membership, and help the channel out financially, which also is a big deal because we're largely crowdfunded by the viewers, and it's you, the viewers, with your support that makes this all possible. So once again, thank you all for that, and of course, thank you all for watching. We'll see you all tomorrow night, and of course, Slav Ukraine, and bye-bye for now.